It's time for good energy, and I'm Dr. Julie, and welcome to Bodyful Day 354. We are talking about retirement and the senses. Today is day 4 of retirement and the senses, and we're talking about how when you are trying to decompress from having your time filled with both good energy and in stressors when you leave your job, how you can use your senses to bring you back into a system of stuff to do, a system that is life fulfilling, a way to keep your good energy in. Let's start this off by let's do our basics. Go ahead and take a deep breath in and release. Deep breath in, expand in the belly, expand in the chest, expand in the sinuses, and release. And we're talking about the vestibular sense. So we're talking about how your body feels in space or in relationship to force. And so we're talking about the semicircular canals and how they are reacting to leaving something large that has been a very large part of your life. So what I want you to do is I want you to take a deep breath in and think about having that feeling of freedom. Go ahead and take a deep breath in and blow it out. Now, the vestibular sense is kind of hard to connect to retirement because we figured out how to connect hearing. It's very easy to connect sight. It's easy to connect smell because we can talk about that as a new venue to get yourself back into a new form of your life, a new part of your life. But we can also use the vestibular sense. So vestibular sense, remember, is the relationship of you to gravity, and it is triggered by ankles, hips, jaw, eyes, and neck, and then also your semicircular canals. And so semicircular canals detect movement and a little bit of gravity, G-forces. And then, of course, your vision connects you with your ground, and then your neck, your hips, and your ankles give you an indication of where your body is in space. And these three things go together to make the vestibular sense. Now, most of us are going to be employed in jobs where the vestibular sense isn't quite mandatory. Obviously, an electrician, an electrical wire technician, so somebody who's actually up in the poles, a telephone technician, somebody who's actually up in the poles and doing a lot of upward stuff. In Iowa, you might find the technicians that go up in the turbines for electricity. They might be a little bit more connected with their vestibular system than most of us, but most of us stay on the ground and we don't actually use our semicircular canals for more than just getting up out of bed or getting up off the chair. We don't race around very quickly. So when we think about retirement and letting a very structured world, which is a lot of good energy in for us, it's very comforting to have a structure around which to organize our life. But at the same time, it's also very stressful to have a job to do that with. So when we leave the comfort of structure, but we also leave the stress of being bound to that structure, we're kind of left with a decompression space. That time where we've got to figure out how to re-engage with ourselves, how to re-engage with the world. And so yesterday we talked about the sense of smell in terms of using that as an outlet that we don't normally use to bring ourselves back into living fully. Now, I want to talk about that in terms of space in your sensory cortex. So your sensory cortex, your sense of smell is very small. It's actually connected right into your brain. But your sensory cortex, which has space for your semicircular canals, it also has space for all the touch senses, as well as your joint and information. That is in a cortex all of itself. And we know that as you use something more, the space in your brain increases. You have more space in your brain for that process. And so using your vestibular sense more actually expands how much space in your brain uses, or how much space in your brain is used to process that information. So when we talked about with the sense of sight, and we talked about with the sense of smell, you disengaging from your pattern recognition, your top-down stuff that you had done throughout your life as your job, now you want to kind of engage the bottom up so that you have more information coming in so that you can actually round out your experience again. And so the vestibular sense can be used in just the same way. We talked about, over the summer, we talked about the spinny chair. Okay, that one you could use at the office. But we also talked about spinning and working on turns. And that is one that, again, the more you do it, the more space in your sensory cortex there is for that. And the more fully you can engage with your senses, the more you can help your body decompress from either the stress or not having the good energy in. So you're like, well, so how does that, the sense of sight, it involved looking at new patterns, looking at the new visual world. The sense of smell involved using more herbs and spices or essential oils. How does the vestibular sense involve? Well, the vestibular sense could be as simple as taking a Zumba class or taking a spin class or using your body in a different way that you actually haven't used before to provide more input in, to expand your sensory cortex so that you can figure out how to expand your experience when you now have a less organized way of expanding your experience, and also a way to kind of help you decompress from having that organizational, I don't want to say profile, but that organizational framework put onto your life. So, as I said, it may involve dancing. Great way to work on that vestibular system. Hiking, you could go as far as bungee jumping and activities like that. That would not be my first thing to work on the vestibular system, but dancing would be up there. And these are just ways to find your niche and look for ways to use your senses a little bit more fully so that your framework, once it is gone, you've got something else to put it in there. Something else to put in there to help you engage with your senses, help engage with your body more fully. All right, join me tomorrow. We've got 3 days left. That includes the kinesthetic sense, so stretch in the body. It includes the sense of taste, and it includes the sense of touch. So we've got 3 days left. Join me for these 3 days as we expand how to use your senses to decompress from retirement, but also to re-engage in a new way. All right, let's finish this off. Take a deep breath in and release. I'll see you back here tomorrow. Take care.